Hello everyone, welcome back to another very special Zentangle Apprentice video. A video from Zentangle HQ made especially for the kids out there looking to learn a little bit more about Zentangle. I am here with my friends
Indy, Mazzy,
and my name is Molly, and we're gonna do another tile with you all today. And yesterday we explained that all of us might be working with different materials, and that's fine. Some of you might have Zentangle materials at home, and I'm going to be working on about a 3.5-inch square piece of paper. We call them tiles, and I'm going to be using a black pen and a graphite pencil and a tortillon. Indy and Mazzy have slightly different materials. What do you want to tell them what you guys are working with?
I'm going to be working with a blue pen, a red pen, and the same tools as we used yesterday.
Yep, and then what about the piece of paper you have?
And I'm going to be working on a white circle
Zentangle, yeah.
piece.
Okay. And Mazzy, what do you have?
I have a pencil and a tortillon like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
An orange moonlight pen and a green moonlight pen, and then a black Zentangle.
Very cool. All right, and if you have slightly different materials at home, that's fine too, and we are all going to be adapting to whatever we have in front of us, so I think it's actually kind of interesting if we're all using slightly different things, right?
Yep.
You guys ready?
Yep.
So yesterday I feel like we rushed right into things, but usually when I get started with Zentangle, I do like to do a little bit of a ceremony to get me kind of situated. And what I usually do is I get my materials ready, which we've done already. And then I like to get my my body ready. So I usually kind of get my chair pulled in or my body comfortable and everything sort of in a place where it feels good. And then lastly, I like to recognize the first step in the Zentangle method, and that is gratitude. And it's really just a moment to sort of think about what we're grateful for in this moment. And it might be the tools you're working with, it might be the people you're sitting with, or the time you have. And during that moment, I like to just take a couple of deep breaths just to sort of prepare for my time of creating. And sometimes a deep breath just helps to sort of focus or set your intention and sort of just allow ourselves to prepare for whatever it is we're doing. So thanks for sharing that moment with me, guys. And now we're ready to get started on our tile. So I'm going to start with my pencil, and I'm going to create a string here. And you'll see in a minute what Indy and Mazzy are going to do, because they're probably going to do theirs a little bit different. But we're going to start by putting 4 dots in the corners of our tile, just like so. And I'm going to ever so lightly connect those dots to create a border. Okay? Very cool. And then I'm going to do a string here, and if you want to just hold on for a minute and check out the string, I'm going to do a string that looks like sort of like a big loop or a lowercase e in cursive. And it's kind of going off the page a little bit, but it looks something like that. And I'll show you what Indy and Mazzy's look like so you have an idea of the differences. So I don't know if Mazzy's you can see here, and she's done a border around her Zentangle to give her a little space and then a big string line. And then Indy is actually not put a border here. She's going to just allow her tangles to go right to the edge of her tile. So totally different options, and they're going to have some really interesting results. They're all different, and that's okay. I actually let my string go right outside the border to see what happens. I thought that might be kind of interesting, right? So I'm going to pick up my pen now, and I'm going to show you guys a tangle called a Ruckus, which is kind of a fun tangle. And a Ruckus, show you guys a little trick, is actually, I'm going to spell it here for you. It is a tangle I named after my friends that work for this pen company, because it's the Sakura Pen Company, and a ruckus is actually the word Sakura spelt backwards. It's kind of funny. Anyway, so this is a ruckus. I am going to invite you to pick the biggest space you have on your tile. I'm going to take the biggest spot, okay? So I think I'm going to work right in my loop here, but if you have a tiny loop, then maybe you pick a different section that's a little smaller. So I want you to sort of allow yourself to just let your eyes focus in on this space right here, just this space right here. And we are going to draw a big orb or circular shape right in the middle-ish of it. It doesn't have to be right in the middle. Just a big, big orb. Okay? And then once you have that orb, I want you to draw, and this is sort of like when we did Hollabah yesterday, but just one of them. Sort of a spoke or a stick that kind of comes off that orb and attaches itself to your string. There you go. Then I'm going to turn my tile a random amount, and I am going to draw another stick. And I'm going to leave some space, and I'm going to draw a few of these, maybe 5 going around. Some of them can be closer together, some can be further apart. There's no rhyme or reason. Okay. Actually, I might put one more. I might put 6, but it doesn't really matter. So it looks a little bit like a sun maybe, or something like that. Perfect. These are great, you guys. Okay. So once you have your orb and your spokes coming off, we're going to actually create an aura around our orb, but we're going to pick up our pens when we get to the little spokes. So I'm basically just auraing that orb shape, turning my tile as I work. All right. How'd we do? These are great, you guys. Nice job. And then we're going to pause for a minute, and now we're going to go revisit our sticks here again. And now we're going to aura the sticks. We're going to slowly turn our tile each time. Oh, it actually already looks pretty cool. All right. Oh, very cool. If you could guess, we're actually going to go back and to our orb, do that same thing. Draw an aura, picking up our pen when we get to the straight lines. Just focusing on that curved line of the orb. Turning our tile as we go till we got all the way around. Very cool. Now we're going to go back to our sticks and aura those. And what I actually love about this tangle is if you like do too many auras on one round, it doesn't really matter. It actually still looks really cool. So I don't get too caught up in being like, oh no, I already did that one, or it actually continues to create a very cool rhythm. All right. And then back again. So with this tangle, you can actually keep going till you fill your space. Or you might get to a point where you're like, oh, I really like the way it looks right now. And then you could just stop and leave that open space too. So feel free to sort of pause and take a look at your work as you go along and make your own choices. Very pretty. And then back to the straight ones. Turning my tile as I go along. How you guys doing over here?
Good.
Good.
I like the way this tangle ends up because you sort of, your eyes focus on two different things. I feel like your eyes focus on the shapes coming out in between, or they focus out on the rays or the bands coming out. So it's kind of a interesting optical illusion. All right. You might even, when you have these spaces left over, you might go in and add something else in there or leave it. I'm going to leave mine for now. I might add something after I see what other tangles I'm going to do. All right, so next up we have Mazzy here, and I love the way your Ruckus came out. That's super fabulous. And Mazzy is going to show us a tangle that's actually named after her sister that we call
Indyrella.
Indyrella. This is a fun one. Love it. So maybe we pick like kind of a smaller space for Indyrella. Yeah, that's what I say. So maybe find a space on your tile that seems to be maybe the smaller one. It's okay. It doesn't have to be super small.
So I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to make a tiny dot, and then I'm going to sort of aura it, but make it bigger, but I'm going to leave some space in between. Then I'm going to make bigger, keep on making it bigger, and then like in the middle, we're going to keep making it smaller again.
Maybe you guys watch for a second so you can see what she's got here. So it's a series of these kind of like, almost like a parentheses, right? If you looked at it this way, it's a slightly arced line. And they have this even spacing in between, and it gets a little bit bigger, bigger, and then smaller, smaller. You want to show them another one so they get the idea?
Gonna do the same thing. Aura it. But you want to leave some space in between because then you don't want to get it all clumped up. And I'm going to do another one, but I'm going to take my other pen.
Different color.
Yeah. And I'm going to do that again with my other pen. Some might be small and some might be really big. I'm going to keep on doing that over and over again.
These are beautiful.
Yeah.
To me, these like always remind me of like fish swimming.
Oh, I've never thought of that. I'm going to switch my pen out again to make it look cool. All the different colors. I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to change my other pen again.
Such nice textures, Maz. I love this.
Yeah.
And you might fill your whole space with Indyrellas, or you might decide to just make a few of them kind of dancing by themselves. That looks great.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end now
Okay, very good.
for my Indyrella.
All right, so we have Indy in the teacher seat this time, and she's going to show us a variation on one of the tangles we did in the previous video.
Okay, so yesterday Or yes,
In the first video.
in the first video, we had done a tangle called poke root. And this one's kind of like that. We would start off like that.
With a stem.
And then that frowny or smiley face. But this time, when we're going up, we're going to turn it into a leaf.
Pointy shape.
Nice. Poke leaf is like, it's almost like an upside down heart, right? It's like sort of that shape is
Kind of. But it's more like a leaf.
a leaf shape, yeah.
And if you want to, you can put poke root in.
Oh, you could do
Do
a
a
little
mix.
combo, yeah. You sort of growing them off each other.
Yeah.
All right. These look beautiful. I love the way the poke leaf kind of fills the
Yeah.
space. And you can kind of grow it off in any direction, right? I love the way how Indy's making some bigger and some smaller. These look awesome. Kind of fun with the two different colors.
Yeah. Two different types of poke root. Poke leaf, I mean.
All right, we're just about finished, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we have one more space left to fill. And I'm thinking because of the tangles that we've already chosen, that we should pick a tangle that has like a lot of contrast, maybe some ink. And one of my favorite sort of bold tangles, it's called Knightsbridge. And Knightsbridge is actually just your basic checkerboard. And it's kind of a fun tangle to add some contrast to your tile. So you can do a pretty straightforward checkerboard, but I'm going to give mine a little bit of life. So I'm first going to draw a series of vertical lines. And then I'm going to draw a series of lines going in the opposite direction to create like a grid. But I kind of like how those shapes change size a little bit. So I have a grid, but it's not exact. And now this is going to take a little bit of patience, but we're going to color in our grid like a checkerboard. And the way I like to do this is just start somewhere in the middle. I'm going to start with this one right here, and I'm going to ink in a square. And I have a pretty fine pen here, so if you have like a thicker pen, you're probably going to go faster than me. And just kind of take my time. I really enjoy coloring things in, so I'm going to just enjoy the process. Turn my tile as I work. I like to get it really nice and dark. But you might have your own style, so it's really inky. I like that. And then I have a trick to figure out which squares to fill next. And I always think about my kissing corners here. So I always think about which one of these squares touches corners. And then I find one and I see that this corner touches that. And so then that's how I figure out which one to do next. So as I go along, trying to figure out which square to fill in next, I first make sure that it shares corners with one that I've already colored in. All right, so that was quite a bit of coloring in, but it really adds so much to the contrast of these tiles, as you might be able to see on yours. And if you're not interested in adding, oh, that's Indy's. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And Mazzy's still working on hers over there. But you don't always have to ink it all in. If you're too tired, you could have done what we did yesterday and just add a spiral in every other one, or maybe you add some other detail in every other one. So anyway, I think that a little bit of ink adds a nice contrast, especially since these other tangles were very textural. So now I'm going to put down my pen and I'm going to add a little bit of shading to my tile here. So I'm going to start with a Ruckus, and let's zoom in on that tangle for a minute here. And what's fun about a Ruckus is you can really do some fun shading stuff. And what I like to do is shade just the edges of where these cool sort of conical step shapes have showed up.
On both sides?
Yeah. And I just add a little bit of graphite, and it sort of accentuates that shape that appeared. You get some layering effects. And then once you have all the little bits of graphite, when we're adding graphite, you really want to make sure you don't color the whole thing in, because you want to keep some of that white, the highlights. And I'm just going to kind of fade it a little bit with my tortillon. If you don't have a tortillon, that's okay. You can probably use your finger, or sometimes you can just go lighter with your pencil to create a sort of faded effect. But this simple little tool is one of my favorites because it really can do so much. It's just a simple blending stump people use with drawing. Very cool. And then, I don't know, if you want to, sometimes I just take my tortillon and add a little halo on the inside, and that's kind of neat too. Indy has a trick. You want to show him the trick you're doing? She does a trick where you put that under the camera, where she just, she takes, maybe they can't see it yet, put it under. She just takes her pencil, and sometimes she likes just a little bit of more graphite on her tortillon, and she does that, and so, and put it under the camera. So then she can kind of add a little more. Cool. That's a nice trick, Indy. All right. So now I'm going to move on to this Indyrella that Mazzy did. And you may like to leave it. I always give people that option. But I like to put a little bit of graphite on sort of where these shapes, see how this shape kind of, the lines make a little shape? I just make a little line of graphite and then just with the edge of my pencil, and it's kind of cool because it kind of makes them all come together. I'm just doing it all on the same side. But yours might not be all in the same direction like mine ended up, so you can decide how you want to do it. So cool. I love the way these look. Oop, I missed one. All right. So now with my poke leaf, I think I'm just gonna put a little bit of shading sort of where these seem to layer. So I just put a little graphite, and it's almost like where this leaf seems to have come in front of the others. And you can kind of just pick and choose. You don't have to do all of them. All right. Okay. And I don't know, I kind of just love the way the Knightsbridge looks by itself. I'm going to leave
same.
mine. If any of you guys think you have an idea for shading your Knightsbridge, you can go ahead and do that, but I'm pretty excited about mine. Indy, are you pretty excited to show everybody?
Yeah.
Did you want to put your initials on it? Our last step before we're all done is putting our initials on our tile, just because it's so important to sign your work. Maybe you put your name, your full name on the back and the date. That's up to you. And then the last step, last step is gratitude again and appreciation. And it's a great opportunity to appreciate the work you've done. And maybe if you're with some friends, you can appreciate all of your work together. So here is Indy's tile here. It's kind of cool because she started adding some more poke roots as the tile went on. And as she shaded this Ruckus, her star really pointed out. And it looks like she's put her chop in the middle of her Knightsbridge. Okay. And then we have Mazzy's tile here. And wow, look at this. We have such contrast with this beautiful Ruckus next to this very, very cool Knightsbridge and all these different textures. You guys did a great job here, and I think it's fun to have the different shaped tiles together. Super neat. Thanks so much for tangling along with me again, guys.
Bye.
Until next time, thank you so much for joining me. Bye.